Hello. I think after we've done this, shouldn't be much of an issue. But remember the time when you wanted to do a dry run?
Yeah.
So that will carry on first, or we'll skip that.
So technically, the dry run that you meant was to have someone to from your team to perform the simulation, is it?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I mean, simulation in terms of a job assignment, how it flows to us, how we formulate what we're going to do on site to simulate that, and once completed the entire flow.
Yep. Okay. All right. Cool. So, Melissa, you can, kickstart the process of, assigning to Rayton's team, and Rayton team, you may, be guided by Melissa on the process. And once the schedule is fixed with customer when you're on site, probably, the team here can help you guys when you have any we are performing any steps for the customer as well. That I think will help you so that you are comfortable to perform the first activity.
Yeah,
Yes, that
so
would be great.
Rebecca and Syed, I sent you an email a while earlier. So I will need a list of all your engineers with their details. You can find the details in the email. So please provide me with the list so I can proceed with the clearance.
Okay. Clearance meaning what kind of clearance?
You will need clearance to the DC. The customer will need to get the clearance for you before you can enter.
Okay, understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's listed in the email, right?
Sorry?
It's listed in the email, correct?
You mean the details required, is it?
Yeah, those details that you required is you listed in the email lah.
Yes, I listed already. Basically, it's just the engineer's name, the contact number, the vehicle number if there's any, and then their last four digit of their IC number.
Of their NRIC. Yeah,
Yes,
correct.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, Terry is so eager to start, you guys. So yeah. Well, I understand from Rayton's team, you guys also, want to quickly start this process, right? So, if you don't move the first step, then you will never be able to, proceed with further requests in future. So somehow the first step has to be taken. So anyway, we will try to assist Rayton, during the request, the process. Melissa can help to guide you what documents needed, what information should be revert. And then on the technical part, our team here is happy to help you. If you're on site and you need assistance, you can always email us, or you can have a call with the engineer to guide you guys as well.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so yep, back to you, Ari. Thank you.
No worries. Okay. We'll start by recapping what we have gone through last Friday. We have seen about the products, the tools which we use for updating the firmwares, and where do we download the firmwares. We essentially download it in two different places. One is on the IBM Fix Central for the older machines, at least till M4 generations, I would say. Then the data center support site for all the latest machines, all the latest nodes, all the latest chassis related stuff, everything you can download it on the data center support side. Okay. Um, so and what are the tools which we use for the firmware upgrade? There are a couple of things, actually three things. We are gonna look into two of them today. One is the bootable media creator and another one is the Update Express. So basic difference, there are basic differences between the BOMC, bootable media creator, and the Update Express system packs. Bootable media creator is a bootable medium which may require an USB drive or an IMM or an XCC to log into and then mount the media to boot through it. And Update Express system packs requires an operating system to run. Okay, for extracting the contents from the Update Express system packs and flashing the firmware, it would require something called as Update Express installer. Okay, so for Update Express system packs, the installer is must. There are two things you can use. Either you can use one CLI or you can use a Update Express installer. Okay, so we have seen the BOMC process last time. So there are two ways of creating BOMC. One is you run the BOMC tool and you download the updates from the internet, and there is another way that you create a customized BOMC, right? So there are two ways which we have seen. So we'll run through it again anyways, so that it stays in your mind. So this is the BOMC screen, what you see. Okay, you don't need to do any much of changes here. Okay, next, select the product for which you want to download the firmware for. Okay, we just take an example, Touch System 240M5. Next, so here there are two things. You will select update here. Okay, this full is quite a large tool, I would say, which will integrate VPD update tools and diagnostics, the Intel RAID configuration, and all those stuff inside. That will become quite a big one. This will not be used usually for the firmware updates. So you better stay with the update alone. Okay. Next, there are two things which you can do. Either you download the latest available individual updates, okay, or an Update Express system pack as well. Okay, you can do either of them. Then otherwise you can check for look into the local directory. If you remember it, we have seen an example of how do you create an manual BOMC. For example, if the customer has any specific requirement of updating a specific version of firmware, how do you do it? Okay, so what do? You download the firmware. Along with the firmware, you will download the 4 other files. So you will download the firmware file. It should have 4 files together to create a BOMC. One is a CHG file, which is a change history, which is another one is text, another which is a README, and there will be UXEZ or bin files, which are the actual firmware files, and the XML files are XML type of firmware files. Okay. These are the 4 files which are required mandatory for creating a VM.
Are you there, Harry?
Hey, hello, Michelle. It's Ricky. So we have to wait. Harry. Okay, I see Harry's back.
I'm sorry again. I think I can't avoid this. The power failures at home really. And though I have connected my mobile network as a backup, it didn't get connected instantly, so it got disconnected. So sorry. Okay. Uh, you all are able to hear me now, right?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So in order to create a customized VMC, you will need to download the 4 files which are available for each and every firmware. The change history, TXT, README, UXEZ firmware or bin file or an XML file. These are mandatory to create a VMC, right? Then you will run the VMC. Option look in the local directory, which we have. Right? So look in the local directory. To create a customized VMC. So where do we use this customized stuff? Only in 2 occasions, where a customer has a requirement to update a specific firmware, right? Otherwise, there are solution-based machines. As I said, Think Agile-based machines, where you will use only a set of firmware, not the latest from the internet. For all the solutions, there is something called as a best recipe. Okay, so I think whenever you get a case assigned, the Lenovo Focal or an IBM Focal will anyways advise you, just to for you to be aware, for all the solution based machines, there is something called as a best recipe available. The best recipes are something which are tested, and the functionalities are tested across the hardware platforms, and ensure that it is good with no defects or anything else. Okay, so you will use the customized creations in the solution based, or when the customer demands you that I have a specific VMware version and I need you to update a specific firmware, then you will you will download the specific firmware along with this 4 files, create a BMC out of it. We have seen the BMC procedure last time, right? How do you create a customized one? So we last time we took one of the customized options, right? So last time we downloaded 4 files. So if you remember this, we downloaded these 4 files and we created a BMC out of it. So last it has created BMC, and the BMC had those 4 files. Let me show you that. So these are the 4 files with which the BMC is. Okay. So when you boot through it, it will show you the UEFI version of 3.01 for you to update. Okay. So you can either ask it to look into the specific directory. Okay, then select next, and it will create a bootable.iso. Okay, do not use unattended mode. Next, so it will create a bootable media. This is how it creates it. This is a customized one. Okay, and when it comes to downloading the latest ones which are available from the internet, instead of selecting the local directory, you will say that select the latest updates. So that's the option you will select for. Okay, next. So latest individual updates. Next. Then you will say next. Where to save it? You can either mention a directory name. Okay. Here mention a directory name. Next, and you need to say, if you want to write it to an USB device, you can select the disk here and it will write it to it. Otherwise, you download the ISO file. It will create an ISO file. Then use that ISO file to update the firmware. Okay. Do not use unattended boot. Then next, it will create the BMC. Okay. So this is how you create a BMC. Okay. Now we have already seen how do you update using the server using a BMC. We have already seen the procedure for it. However, I'll show you. I am ignoring that boot process because the boot takes a longer time. If you are unsure of how do we boot, maybe at the end of the session I will again show you. But to be just very precise how it boots, once the server powers on, and or if you reboot the server, first the UEFI initializes. It will present you with option F1 and F12 options. F1 is to enter the setup, and F12 is to select the boot device, one-time boot device. Right. So once it gives you a menu, you need to select either IMM remote okay, it mounts it, and then you will start the boot process by pressing F12 and all those stuff. Okay, then once it is booted, it will look what you are seeing right now. Okay, you will say here you will not provide any information, it is not required in this input BMC access information because you are and mounted it, so it will not require any IMM related information. Okay, enable updating to a back level firmware. I will not suggest that until or unless some L3 suggests you. Okay, either L3 or the product engineering folks suggest you to do a back level firmware update. You can select this option, which will force the update on a machine. Otherwise, you don't need to touch this option at all. Next. So you need to start the comparison. It will start comparing it. Okay. So the comparison may take a while. So so far whatever you have seen, let it be a BOMC creation through the internet, or let it be a BOMC customized BOMC creation. Do you have any doubt, or you want me to run through it again, or anything as such?
It's okay to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so far
So
so
I
good.
have okay. So I have captured this exactly the same thing. I have shared you three documents. Okay, last to last email. Okay, that was done very recently last week, last to last week. For the sake of the engineers, the documents were created with detailed procedures. Okay, exactly. I use the same machines also as well. For creating those documentation, which will have a step-by-step procedure on how do you create a BMC, how do you mount a BMC, and how do you update through it. All the things will be available in that. Okay. If you want to refresh on what we have done today, you can go and look into those documents. Okay. That will give you an idea or a refresh on what we have learned today. Okay. So that it will be helpful for you. You can carry that documentation wherever you go. Even for the website, but do not open it in front of the customer and watch step by step and do it. I think I will suggest you go prepared. Okay. So the only thing what you need to consider before you do a firmware update is go and look for the dependencies. That is very much important. I would say very important, because at least for the UEFI and IMM firmwares, you should check for the dependencies, because these two are the firmwares which will screw up the machine if you do not follow the right procedure. It may make the machine go down. Okay, so because the UEFI and IMM are the two things which are required for the machine to boot. Okay, IMM is IMM for the power control and the UEFI for the boot process, right? If the UEFI gets corrupted for because of the wrong update, wrong procedures followed or anything as such, the UEFI will corrupt. If the UEFI will corrupt, the machine will not be allowed to boot. Okay, if the IMM gets corrupted, the machine will not power on itself. Okay, so be careful with these two things. Check for the dependencies and then follow the recommendations, I would say. Okay, so it uses basic comparison of what is the latest versus the old firmware. If you see the new version, this is the version which is available in the BOMC, and the installed version, it is a version which is already there in the machine. Okay, so you can select or deselect the firmwares whatever you want to update. Okay, and the firmwares you need to update, you select it. Otherwise, leave it to the default, so that it can update whatever is required and whatever is not required. So it will update only when it sees the hardware is present, and if it is an older version, it will provide you the comparison. Otherwise, the rest of the things will say that the version is undetected, and the version is undetected essentially means the device itself is not available. So whatever the devices are available and whatever the firmwares are updated, it will show you in here. Okay, so either you select or deselect based on your requirements. Okay, so I just selected couple of firmwares. I will say next.
Ari, just one question.
Yeah.
So the server firmware upgrade or whatever upgrade we are doing, we are assuming that these are not directly related to AD server, that all users are already, or that if it's related to AD server, all users are already logged off from the server, correct?
I didn't get the question right.
Okay, I'll repeat the question.
Mhm.
If this Lenovo server is with an AD Active Directory, that all the users are already logged off, that's assumed,
Okay.
correct?
Mhm.
Before we do any further upgrade, is that correct?
Of course, it is right. Uh, if this is a server with any applications, not only AD as such, okay.
Right.
If it is if you are updating, if you are going to update an AD server, obviously, if it is an AD, then all the users will lose access to the AD, right? So If you have an additional domain controller, then you may shift it to the user to there. Otherwise, the users have to log off, or otherwise they will be forced to log off anyways, right? So essentially, it requires a downtime of any application you use on that server. When you are using a BOMC or any type of firmware updates, it requires a downtime. Especially when you are doing a BOMC, it requires a downtime because it requires a reboot of the server first.
Correct. So we have to make sure that the customer is aware that whenever we do maintenance, all users that if we see that are still on the server will be kicked out of the application or software that they are in, or even if they are AD, right?
You are right. So basically, what happens is on the field, whenever the client hands machine to you, okay, they do all these stuff and hand over the machine to you, okay. What you got to do is that ensure that the machine, the client reboots the machine. I would say that you try rebooting the server before, essentially before updating any firmware, just take a normal reboot at once, ensure the machine boots well and fine, then take another reboot to update the firmware. This is all you will do. The 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 actions related to the users and they logging off from the machine will be taken care by the customer. So
Okay.
two things in precise. Customer will do the stuff of logging of the users and all those stuff. And answering to the second part of the story, yes, it requires the downtime for the any application you run on that machine until or unless the client has a redundancy for it. For example, if this machine goes down, if the client has a provision to run the application on some other server, then it will continue to do so. But those are all customer scope, which they will perform by themselves. Okay, you will be sending an action plan to the customer by stating that this requires a downtime of the server. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure the copy payload is failing here. I'm not sure because of whether it is because I dismounted the media advance. So better I will take a reboot and I'll boot it again. We'll see how it works. And by the way, I kept this machine booted yesterday night. Not sure what has happened after that. So I'll reboot and I'll boot it again into the BMC again. Okay.
Harry, are you actually talking or you're just showing? Because I can't
I'm
hear.
not saying anything.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for the machine to boot.
Okay, all right, cool.
We can't help it. I made this thing ready because I do not want to wait till the machine boots because it takes at least 15 to 20 minutes to boot. So, but
I see.
unfortunately, the payload copy payload has failed in that machine. So I have to reboot once again.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You will see kind of this. Can you see this? I am on a remote mount, right? You select this. I'm trying to make two. First, loading the firmware, copying the firmware, updating the firmware, After the update, it restarts the IMM. During the restart of IMM, the entire console will be disconnected, and again you have to connect it back. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. During the firmware update time is should be given a sufficient time, because you cannot do it in a hurry because it's not in your hands. The tool takes time to update the firmware. Okay, so ask for sufficient downtime. Do not be in a hurry. Do your homework essentially in terms of uh, approaching it. Okay, so do it in a right way. Don't be in a hurry, and always reach out if you are in doubt. Okay, do not attempt to update anything in doubt. Okay, so these are all the kind of prerequisites when you are approaching a firmware update. Firmware update is not about just updating it the firmware, okay, because you have to be very clear why you are updating it, and whether you are updating the right versions, are you following the prerequisites and the dependencies and all those stuff. Then you update the firmware. Okay.
Sorry, Nari, can I ask you a question? Hello? Yeah, I'm here. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Okay, is there a possibility that you may have to run it more than once to get to the desired firmware level?
Your voice is bit, what do you call it, as shaded. What is the question again?
Is there a possibility that you may have to run the update more than once to get to the desired firmware level? Because sometimes you may not be able to go to the right firmware level just by one upgrade.
Of course. If your question, if I got your question right, then you are asking whether you can update more than one versions. That is what you are asking, right?
No. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, sometimes firmware you cannot one jump to the highest level. No, I mean,
correct.
Is there a possibility that after you run, it's still not the highest, not the latest firmware version?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can. So
I mean, I don't mean can or cannot. What I mean, is there a possibility for Lenovo system to be like that? Is there a possibility? I encountered this in other systems.
You are asking, is there a possibility to jump?
No. To jump means sometimes, for example, maybe okay, let's say IMM level. Maybe after I run it once, you only go to the second latest version, not the latest. I may have to run another round to get to the latest version. You get what I mean? Well, some firmware version you cannot one shot jump too many levels. You get what I mean?
Can you type the question in the chat, because your voice is becoming a bit shaded, so I could not understand. Can you type the question in the chat? I think quite a long question, huh?
Harry,
Yeah.
I think what he's
Sorry.
I think he really
Yeah.
typed the question.
Is there a possibility that we need to run the update more than once to get the? Yes. So in some cases, that's what I said. If the firmware is too old, and if you want to get into the latest, okay, the BOMC might have the intermediate versions as well. Essentially, the prerequisite versions as well. Okay, but what I would suggest is that you may need to update the firmware more than once. Yes, and it is a possibility in cases where the client has not updated the firmware for quite some time. We have seen the clients have not updated the firmware for more than 4 to 5 years as well. Okay, so in those cases, what you got to do is you got to update it to the intermediate version first, which is the prerequisite version. Then you run the latest version. It is a possibility. Yes.
Okay.
How to update it to the intermediate version? There are many possible ways. These things usually happens in UFI and IMM's case, not in all the firmware's case, I would say. Okay, so in those cases, what you can do is you download the intermediate version. Okay, that will be available in the web. Okay, so you don't have to bother about it. Okay, so you download the intermediate versions. What is the prerequisite version they call it as? Then first flash it. How do you flash it? Either you create a customized BMC, what we have seen. Otherwise, you create you log in into the IMM. Let me also show you that. Just I'll give you an introduction of that. Maybe if the time permits, we'll also see that. Okay. So how do you update it to the intermediate version? Okay, so here from here you can update a couple of firmwares. If you go to the IMM, you log into the IMM, you see the server management, server firmware. You will see an option here to update the firmware. Okay, from here you can update it to the minimum required version. Okay, you download the individual files. Okay, you select the file. Usually the in a UXEZ format, the UFI and IMM. Okay, you select the file. Then what you can do is possibly so just taking the file. I'm here you can update the intermediate version. You can update it through this method. Update it to the intermediate version, then run the BMC. It will run the you can run the rest of the firmware updates. So if you are taking a two-step updates, you can do it via this way, because to my view, the rest of the firmware such as RAID diagnostics or the adapter firmwares may not have these dependencies. Okay, if at all you have a dependencies, what I would say is that you create a BMC out of the dependency firmware files. Okay, then you do the intermediate level of firmware update first by creating a customized BMC with the intermediate level of firmware. Then update it first, then to the latest. Okay, So otherwise, usually, in almost all the cases, you will have the dependencies with only UF and IMM, which you can update it via this firmware, this method of firmware. Okay. When you say the next, it will say it will flash the firmware. Okay. So yes, there is a possibility that you have to update firmware in multiple stages. If the firmware is too old, how do you update it? Either create a customized BMC, or you update the firmware via the IMM itself. Okay, these are the two ways you can opt for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So since we have not selected it, it has already started copying the payload. Okay. We have not selected any updates. We left it default, so it has processed. It will allow you for a minute, actually 60 seconds, to select what firmwares you wanted to flash. Okay, so you can select it, or you can leave it to the default. It will proceed automatically. Okay, so it has proceeded automatically, so it is copying to the payload. I have not seen the failure error so far. I hope it works. Okay, if it works, then we will see how does it flash the firmware. Okay. So that is where I said, I mean, you need to know about how do you create a customized BMC as well. Okay, so if you want to update firmware in multiple stages, download the intermediate versions. Each and every firmware file requires 4 files, as I said before. Okay, the firmware file, README file, change history file, and the XML file. All those 4 files are required for each and every firmware. So if you are going to update the UF and IMM to the intermediate versions, you will need to have 8 files. Okay, and run the BMC, show the path, specific path where you have downloaded those files. It will create a bootable image for you. Okay, then you can mount the same way how we have mounted. Then you can update it. So this is what the procedure is. Okay. Otherwise, what happens is usually if you have multiple stages of firmware to update, the BMC will update to the only the intermediate version, not to the latest version. So you have to flash it again. Okay. So either you do it that way, or you do create a customized BMC, or update the firmware to the UF and IMM firmware through IMM to the intermediate level, then run the BMC. So you can opt for these options. That is what I'm saying. Okay. So it has copied the payload. It has completed. You say begin update. Yes. Has started updating. So once once it completes the update, you will see each and every update gets completed, and there is a green tick mark over it. So it says that successfully completed. Okay. So in the stage where it says not started, right? It will start now. Then it will update one after another. Okay. So it takes quite a time. We'll allow it to boot. We'll allow it to flash. Okay. What we can do is that we will go and check for update. Okay, so this is the bootable media creator method. How you download, create a bootable media, and how do you mount it, and how do you update it. This the procedure what we have seen is for IMM based machines. Okay, unfortunately, I do not have a Xclarity based machine right now. If I get, I will again conduct a session for you if required. Otherwise, I have already shared a video of how do you update, how do you mount a image on XCC based machines, and how do you update through it. I've already shared a video of it. Go through it. The procedure won't be much of difference. Only thing is that instead of you logged in into the IMM, you log in into the XCC, there is an option to take a remote control where you will mount the image. Okay, the video is well captured with all these details. You can go through it. If I get an option to get an access to the XCC based machine, I will create a document again for you and send it. Okay, otherwise you can refer to the video, which is self-sufficient for you to update the firmware. Okay, so these are all this procedure whatever we have seen so far is for IMM2 based machines, where you will update the firmware through the BMC. These are BMC, you download the BMC, or sorry, you create the BMC, you mount it through the virtual media option here. Okay, we have seen it how to mount it. First you will activate, then you will mount it. Then once you mount it, you reboot the machine. Once you reboot the machine, you get into the F12 option to select the one-time boot device. Then either select CD DVD or IMM remote mount device. Otherwise, once you select, it will boot through the BMC and it will ask you to select the firmwares which you need to flash. Select it or leave it to the default and it will update it. Okay. About the BMC, how to create a BMC and how to flash it via BMC. We will allow it to finish. Maybe once we go through the update express, we'll check the status of the firmware and how does it look like. If it is a failure, how does it look like? If it is a success, how does it look like? Okay. Then we will conclude on that. So we'll next we will see the update express part of it. Okay. We'll allow this to run. So as I said, you can download the firmwares from two different websites. One is SIG Central and another one is Data Center Support site. Okay. So I have downloaded an Update Express system for X240 compute node. Okay, you don't need to get confused because end of the day, what you need to know is that how do you download the system tabs. Okay, you can select any machine here, or here you can select as a System X. Okay, sorry, not here. Here, System X, and select the machines. So since I have the Flex node, compute node, I have selected this option. Okay. And continue, select the machine type and continue. As I said, the Update Express system pack requires a tool to update. Okay, system pack will consist of multiple firmwares and the device drivers. Okay, in order to update it, it requires an installer as well. Okay, so how do you download it? You need to select this. Okay, it may require a machine serial number. So let me provide it by looking into it. So here is the machine type and serial number. You can provide it here. The machine type is 8737. Serial number is 06BKZAC. 06BKZAC. Okay. And say continue. Agree. So So here are the firmwares and device drivers which you may need to download. Okay, usually it will be in a zip format. Okay, for the older machines you may have to download it like this. Okay, once you download everything, this also comprises of the Update Express installer as well. Okay, so this is the Update Express installer. This is the Update Express installer as well. This will be there in the list of whatever you download. Okay, so I have downloaded everything already. Okay, I have kept it under a folder called as 8737, which is the machine type of it. So sorry, I have kept it under X240. So I have everything in there and here. Okay, and I have also copied it to a machine. Okay. So once you download all this, you put it on a folder, you copy it to the machine, either to a pen drive or through the network, customer's network. Okay. I've already copied it. Okay. So here is that folder. Okay. So you have the download, you have the firmware, and you have the Update Express installer. How do you identify the Update Express installer in this? UXSPI. Okay, UXSP is the Update Express System Packs. I is the installer. Okay, so you will run this to update the firmwares and the device drivers using the Update Express System Packs. The difference between the POMC and Update Express System Pack is that you will have the device drivers updated as well when you are using Update Express System Pack. Okay. So it will provide you a GUI kind of this. Okay. So how do you update? How do you download the Update Express System Pack through the Fix Central is what you have seen just now. So how do you download a system pack, Update Express System Pack for the in the Lenovo data center website? Okay, 9532. I will take an example just. Okay. Device drivers and software. Okay. Update Express System Packs. So here you can download it for the other machines. So if you select this, it will have a zip file. Okay, you can download this zip file, extract it, and copy it to a machine. Okay. So, be sure for which operating system you are downloading it. Essentially, this should be based on the operating system what customer has. Okay. If the customer has Windows, you can download the Windows. That too, what is the version for it? Okay. And if you can download it for the other platforms as well. SUSE Linux, RHEL 7, Windows 2012, and everything. Okay, you will have the installer also available in that. Okay, if you do not have it, you can download it here. So these are the if you see Lenovo Excite essential update express. So and this is where you can download it. So this is for Windows, this is for RHEL, this is for SUSE Linux. You download it, there will be installer for it. You run it. So okay. For Windows, obviously you know that there is an exe for it. Okay. So I've got the exe and I've run it. Okay. So to update an Update Express system pack, it requires system pack, which will be in a zip format. Otherwise, you can download the contents of the Update Express system packs and put it in a folder, copy it to the client machine. If you have a zip version, extract it and copy it to the client machine. Okay, and run the Update Express system installer. Then you will say next. So it says update the local machine. Okay. The create a repository of update requires an internet where it will download the updates from the internet. You can using the installer also you can download the updates from the internet. Okay, this will create a repository from essentially the firmwares and the device drivers from the internet when you select this option. Okay, now we are not going to download it, we are going to update it. Okay, so select the update option. Next. So if your machine has an internet internet connection, then you can use check the SystemX website. Otherwise, use the option of look into the local directory. And this has picked up the folder X240. Okay. So if you want to update the HBAs, for example, if you have an FC card, fiber adapter, or sometimes you have a CNA adapter, which is a converged network adapter, you can select this so that it will check for the those adapters and update those firmware as well. Okay, if you don't select this adapter, it will not update the HBAs as such. It will update only the standard firmwares and the device drivers as such, the UFI, IMM, diagnostic, RAID, network, and all those stuff, not the add-on adapters. Next. Update type, Update Express system packs. So basically the GUI, whatever you see, it may not, you may not find a big difference between the BMC and the Update Express, because end of the day these are all from the source behind these are one. Okay, so even you will see the Update Express screen on the BMC as well. So the BMC part, it has updated 3, so it is updating IMM right now. So whenever it does IMM, the IMM console will disappear for some time because it restarts the IMM. So will allow it to run anyways. So whenever you see the successfully installed in this, essentially meaning the firmware has updated successfully. If there is, if it is a failure, there will be a cross mark saying that failure. So if you want to know why the failure, then you may need to log in and you may need to save the logs from the BMC and then try to investigate it. Otherwise, simple as that. Go check for the dependencies. It can fail only. There are chances that if the dependency fails, otherwise it may not fail in a usual case. Okay, so be sure to check for the dependencies. That's all I would say. Okay, so this is about the BMC. Parallelly, we have run the comparison for the Update Express. So it is running the comparison. Even for Linux also, if the customer has a Linux OS, you will need the Update Express system pack for Linux and an installer for Linux. Okay. Anyone has an exposure towards Linux in this group?
Not yet so far.
Sorry?
No, not yet.
Okay. If at all, if you want to know how in Linux it looks like, okay, I just show you, but we do not have machines to update. But I will show you how does the Linux one works. Okay. So if you see this file, this is the installer UXSPI for Red Hat. Okay. So the only way it differs is that by the execution method. Okay, when you see an exe file as an executable in Windows, you will see a bin file as the executable in Linux. Okay, you cannot just type this file name. So to update the bin file, you cannot just type the file name. Okay, usually there is an execution method for bin files. Essentially, like what you do it for exe, double click the exe, right? You need to say /, okay, and the file number, file name. Okay. Then you will see the similar type of GUI what you have seen in the Windows, right? So what is that you are going to update the local machine. Okay, next look in the local directory. Okay, select the option where the firmwares are, browse to the folder. Okay, you have to select the folder where the update express is extracted and copied. Okay, I'm just giving an example, nothing else, because anyways we are not going to proceed further. I'm just showing you the method how do you update in a Linux based machine. Okay, so it also requires an installer and it also requires a system pack. So assuming that the X240 have the extracted content of firmwares, okay. So as I said, the IMM was updating the BMC, so it is getting disconnected right now. So it will connect again. Okay. So in Linux, you just run the installer. Okay. / and the file name. Okay. Then it will open the GUI. Then you will say you want to update the update express system packs. Look in the local directory. Next, update express system packs. Next, then it will run the comparison. Okay, it will not do it here because this machine is not a server. I'm just showing you the options here. So this is how you run an update express installer in a Linux. You just need to give / and say the file name so that it will run the installer. Okay, this is for Linux.
Okay.
So the only challenge what you might face in Linux is that by default the copied file, especially the executables, might not have the privilege to execute. Essentially, this file for this user, you might not have an permission to execute it. Okay. If you think it is too much, just I'm capturing it so that it will be there in the recording. Okay, I'm just giving an idea. Chmod is a command which gives which can be used to change the permission. Okay, plus xxx. So which will provide the executable permission for the specific file. Okay. If you do this, then it will give you give the file permission to execute. Then you can say // and that file name. Okay. Without this permission, if you provide // and give that file name, it will not run. Okay. In many of the Linux cases, what it happens is that the file what you copy may not have the executable permission. Then you have to run this command to provide the executable permissions for it. Okay. So just keep it in mind. I'm not sure whether you guys will handle Linux part of it. If at all there is a chance for you to handle it, then this is how you execute it. So whenever you are trying to execute a file, if it doesn't execute, this is the reason behind it, because it don't have the permission to execute. Okay, so you need to give it a permission.
So Haris, this in Linux, what you're saying is something like run administrator, correct?
Absolutely right.
Okay.
Not run administrator. It doesn't have it may have only the read permissions. Okay, it may not have the executable permissions. Okay.
Okay.
So that is what I'm saying. You need to give an execute permission for it in Linux. In Linux, there is something different. Whatever you are saying as an administrator, you need to have a root access in the Linux. Okay.
Okay.
So when you talk about administrator in Windows, you need a root permission in Linux. So if you log in into the user which has supervisor privileges already, then you might not face challenges at all. So this is about giving a permission for the file to execute. Okay.
Okay.
So this is about Linux. How do you run and install on Linux? Otherwise, the rest of the procedures remains the same. You just have to copy that folder in the Linux machine. Okay. I use I use a tool called as WinSCP, and I the files here from my desktop to this machine. I use WinSCP. Okay. So there will be a lot of tools like this to copy the firmware from your machine to the target machine. Okay. So for Linux and Windows, you download the Update Express system packs, extract it, copy to the target server. Okay. In Linux, there is a bin file as an installer. You need to provide // and the bin file name. If you do not have the access, provide the chmod command to provide access, and then run it. It will provide you the GUI. Then follow the steps as it is. In Windows, you need to run the exe and follow the steps as usual. Okay. So these are the two different methods of updating the Update Express, either through the Linux or through the Windows. For VMware, we do not have any files to execute. Okay. For VMware, you have to update the firmware separately, then update the driver separately. There is no other way for it.
Okay.
So you select next. You don't need to provide these two options. So then it will update the firmwares and the device drivers. So the update comparison is similar to what you get in BOMC, except that here it provides the comparison of the device driver as well. Just to tell you that I have already updated this machine with the latest firmwares and the device drivers, except one or two. So it may not have a necessity to update firmware. So I left it to the defaults. Okay. it has the UF and IMM updating right now, okay, which I intentionally left it behind, not updating it, okay. And there is something called as a hard drive program which is getting updated right now, okay. So these are the three things which are not updated, so it is updating it, okay. If there are device drivers which are not updated, it will show you here as well. So in Update Express, you will see the combination of firmwares and device drivers getting updated in this, okay. It will run similar to the BMC. Even now, while updating IMM, the connection will disconnect right now, okay. Then it will connect back, okay. So these are the two methods where you will update UFI. I will update through the BMC, and you update it through the Update Express, okay. These are local methods, essentially meaning for Update Express there is something called as a remote method as well, okay. Maybe I'll share you the documentation for it. Remote essentially meaning now you have run the Update Express installer on the local machine, right, on the target server, right. Instead, what you will do is that you will run the Update Express on your laptop, okay, but your laptop will have a connectivity to IMM, okay. So during that method, you need to provide the IMM username, password, and it requires an SFTP server as well. What it does is that SFTP server acts as a staging server in between, okay. Essentially, you have your laptop, you have the IMM, okay. The firmware from your laptop will be fetched. It will be kept in SFTP server as a staging server. Then it will flash it on the server. So that is how the process is. That is a remote update. Okay, whatever you have done so far is a local update. Okay, for remote we do not have a provision for it because I do not have a SFTP configured on any of these things, so I cannot do it right now. So, but these are the most methods what you use in your daily life. I would say very most, I will say 80 to 85%. This is what you will use for a standard servers. If you want to update firmware, this is what the method is. Okay. This is about the BMC and updating the firmwares through the Update Express system installers, either through the Windows or through the Linux. The only thing which differs from the Windows to the Linux is that you have to run the executables differently. End of the day, the GUI will provide you the same options as Windows. Okay, you have to just follow and provide the directory where you have copied the Update Express system contents, and just follow the options. That's all you need to do. Okay. So it is updating right now. We will see the status of the machine which we were updating earlier. Not sure what type of cases you will be assigned because these are things which you can follow for all the standard rack servers and all those stuff. Standard rack servers, the standard tower servers. The only thing what differs is that if you do not have IMM management, you copy it to the CD and you will boot it. That's all is the difference. Okay, the bootable.iso image, whatever it downloads, you write it to the CD. The same method F12 or the boot device selection menu. Go to the boot device selection menu. Select the CD DVD as a bootable device and boot through it. The rest of the process remains the same. Okay, so the bootable media creator is something which will remain common for you. Even update express system packs for the older machines are there. That is a sufficient way of updating it. So you can opt for that as well. Download the installers and the system packs, run through the operating system. So whatever you have seen, you can follow the same. Okay. These standard methods are very well applicable for most of the machines. Okay. You just need to know about the blade center and the flex chassis part of it. If you are not sure how will you get trained or how will you go and attend to those, you just need the access for those machines. Maybe 1 or 2 attempts you can go along with the people who have already worked on it. Maybe 1 or 2 times, then you will get to know it. Okay. Other than the blade center and the flex chassis, the rest of all the machines you can update it through the procedure what we have seen today. Okay. These are the methods what you have seen for the firmware update. So the one node which the IMM was updating it. We will see the status of it. So here is BMC. It has updated all the firmwares successfully. Okay. So there was no problem in updating the firmware. So you can just say next. And say finish. And say yes to exit. So the firmware update is done. Now it is rebooting. Once the reboot is completed, you may unmount those devices, right? Because the IMM has restarted, so it is not showing the image anyways. So you can just restart the machine to boot into the usual operating system. Okay, so we have seen the BMC normal creation method. We have seen a customized creation method and all the stuff. And we have seen how do you update the firmware through the BMC, and how do you update through the Update Express system packs, and how do you run an Update Express installer on Windows and Linux. So we have seen these parts right now. Okay, I do not want you to overload again. So that is why I'm not proceeding further. We have also seen how do you update the firmware through the IMM itself, right? So if you want, I will just again show you the option where you will update the firmware for. So server management, server firmware, okay. Update firmware. So this is where you will update the UEFI and IMM firmware through these options. So apart from updating the firmware from through the BMC, through the Update Express, the UEFI and IMM firmware has a provision to update from the IMM console itself. So that is how this version is. So you need to select this file, select the file, and just proceed with the steps, whatever it asks. The next options will be to upload and verify. Then it will ask whether it to update the backup image or not. Okay, then it will update the firmware. So these are the options. This method can be opted to update the UEFI and IMM if you want. Okay, so this is the other method for it. I have the documentation for this as well, which was captured recently. I will share you that as well. So net to net, you have seen the firmware update procedure through BMC using Update Express system packs, then updating the firmware through the IMM console itself. So these are the three things we have seen today. Okay, so whenever you do whenever the BMC or Update Express system packs does the firmware update for IMM, it restarts the IMM, so you will lose the access for IMM for some time, and it comes again anyways. So these are the things which you need to keep it in your mind. For all the machines, UEFI and IMM machines, it had two images, okay, which is called as a primary and backup. Okay, you see this primary and backup, right? So you whenever you update the firmware, you flash only the primary image alone. Okay, even if the BMC does, it does over the firmware flash of the primary image alone. It will not update the backup image. Okay, how is it useful? Okay, for each and every server, there is the UEFI and IMM has two different images. One is primary and another one is backup. Okay, assume that while you update the firmware, the machine has gone down, or it is not booting further. Okay, then what you can do is you can try to switch over to this image, the backup image. Okay, or the UEFI backup image. If the machine is not powering on at all, you can try the IMM backup image. If the machine is stuck at the UEFI initialization, you can try opt for the UEFI backup image. How do you opt for it? For each and every machine, there is a jumper. Okay, let me see whether I have the documentation for it. It differs from machine to machine. Anyways, you need to be checking the documentation for the specific machine for locating the jumper. How does where does the jumper sits, and how do we locate it? Okay. This is for X240 compute node. So here is it. So if you see this machine, system board switches, there is called there is a switch 4 switch block, switch 3 switch block, right? So the switch 3 to 4 boot to the backup IMM2. When the switch is in the default off position, the compute node will boot by the primary IMM2 firmware. When the switch is in the on position, the compute node will boot by the backup IMM2 firmware. So these are the switches you need to look for if at all if you want to boot through the backup images. Okay. Similarly for the boot backup UEFI, the switch 3.5. Okay. This is a toggling switch, a very minute switch. You may need a screw bit for it to push because it will be too minute. Okay. So they are like this. You will have it on many of the machines, at least the UEFI based machines. Okay. You will have a switch to boot it through the backup IMM and backup UEFI. Okay. So this is these are the switches you use it very rarely, I would say. If everything goes smooth, you don't use it. Okay. If at all after a firmware update something is stuck, you might use it because the backup image might have the older version which was functioning well. Okay. That will be a temporary purpose to bring the machine up. Okay. However, if you want to run through the primary image, you can try to flash the firmware again to see whether it recovers. If it doesn't recover, you have to change the system board. This backup image, whatever I told you, this will be a quick recovery to get the machine up for some time. And parallelly, you have to prepare with the spares to bring the machine up with the primary image. Okay. So for UEFI and IMM, it always had the primary and the backup images. The backup images always has the older firmwares until or unless you flash. Okay. So these switches are used for recovery purposes. We used it many times in the olden days when the UEFI and IMM was new. We don't use it nowadays, I would say, because we don't see the usual issues which we had regarding the UEFI and IMM updates right now. Okay, we use it very rarely. Okay, but still there is a jumper which are available. The recovery switches are available. Okay, so this is just for your information, I'm saying. So the UEFI and IMM always has the primary and secondary banks. Okay. So we'll see about the update express what has happened. So install did not succeed. So we'll see why it has failed anyways. I'll have that check. But end of the day, this is how you update the update express system packs. Better be reminded whenever you want to update a firmware or a device driver, especially the firmwares from the operating system. Okay, you got to have you see this device, IBM USB remote NDIS network device. This device should be enabled. You understand this? As I explained before, there is something called as an in-band and out-band update, right? Outband is what you have seen through the IMM, whatever you either do it remote or mount it on the IMM, doesn't matter, that is called as outband. Okay. In-band is when you update it through the operating system. The in-band requires this interface to be enabled. Okay, the USB remote NDIS network device. This is the interface I was talking about when we were talking about the inbound and outbound firmware update. This device needs to be enabled, otherwise the firmware updates are tend to fail. So that is what has happened now. The device was in disabled state. That is why the firmware update has failed. Okay, so keep that in mind. Even in Linux, you will have that device that will be called as IF USB 0. Okay, so keep that in mind whenever you do a firmware update on Linux based machines or a firmware Windows based machines. You need to have that Ethernet over USB over Ethernet interface enabled. Okay, in Windows, that is what you have seen. The description will look like the IBM remote USB NDIS network device. Okay, in Linux it is named as IF USB 0. Okay, so these two devices needs to be enabled if you want to update the firmware through the operating system. Otherwise, the OS will not be able to talk to the hardware at all. All right. So the reason behind this failure from this operating system update is that the device is not enabled. That is why all the updates have failed. Okay. So keep it in mind. You have to get this device enabled before you update a firmware. Okay. So any questions so far? Whatever we have discussed about the bootable media creator or the Update Express installer.
No, so far no questions.
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay.
Just got one question. Hari, for the boot UMC, right? You said can boot from CD or from DVD. Is it possible to boot from a thumb drive, USB thumb drive?
Yes.
So it's easier to carry thumb drive.
Whenever you want to create a BMC for thumb drive, insert the USB net in your laptop or desktop while you are creating it. Okay. So that's what I showed you. Instead of writing it to an ISO image, you can write it to a device directly. Okay. Let me show the step where it is. So here is that, right, and directly to a device is there, right? So you can use this option. In the device type, you use a USB as the option. So device type, you need to select USB and write directly to the device. It will provide you the device, the drive letter. Okay, then you can write it to that directly. Okay, so let me again show you that. So since you have asked. Next, select any of them. Doesn't matter. Next. Latest available individual updates. Next. Default. Next. So here it is. So you can use USB as an option because there is no USB drive found. It says nothing. So directly use directly to the device. Use USB and select this disk here. Okay. Then you can say next. It will write. It will make the USB as a bootable one. It will write that image, the bootable.iso to the USB and make it as a bootable one. You can connect it and boot with the USB as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I have covered almost what I wanted to cover. Essentially, the USB, the Update Express and the BMC part of it at least. Okay. Any questions? I'm okay to ask. If you want to ask any questions, I have no problem.
No,
There
no
are
question.
no questions. So if there are no questions, then we will end the session. Maybe next 2 minutes. I will wait for any questions to come. You will receive this recording today, and I will also share you a couple of more documentations on how will you update the firmware through the IMM, which we have not flashed it, but we have seen the process. I will share you the detailed steps documented. Okay. I want you to. I want to run through the. I have the flex chassis here. I just want you to show that, but I'm just surprised whether it will be too much for you right now in understanding it. So I'm leaving it here right now. Okay, so I think you also you'll also be provided with the entry level servers and the rack servers initially. You may not be handed over with the flex chassis where you will not know what to do. Okay. So that's it for me now. Using the BMC and the Update Express, which are the common methods for updating the firmware. So when it comes to the flex chassis and or the blade centers, you will have multiple components to update. So these are, apart from the servers, you will have something called as the CMM to update. You will have the switch modules to update. Okay, each and everything have its own procedure. Okay, these things, the chassis components doesn't use Update Express or a BMC to update. Those have to be updated separately using their own management interfaces. Okay, so that's why I do not want you to force anything more. But if at all you get a chance to look into the flex chassis and all those stuff, along with the IBM folks or anyone who has worked on it, go attend to it, look into it. Once you get a view of it, maybe I'll take a session for you on flex chassis and its components. Then you will get to understand it. Okay, so right now I will stop with the BMC and Update Express methods, but you are always open to reach me out if you have any concerns or if you need any support for any different product. Okay, I'm okay for it. Okay, be open to ask any question. Reach me out if you need any procedures for any other products as well. I'll try to get it for you. There is no issues. I'm open for any technical support required at any point in time.
Appreciate it, Hari. Thank you very much.
All right. So should we end the session right now, or do we have any questions?
No.
Okay.
No, we're good.
No questions.
Okay. All right, then today we will end the session at this stage. We have successfully looked into the BMC and Update Express part of it. Don't mind about the failure of the firmware update which has happened through Update Express. That is because the device was disabled. Otherwise, you will see the same results as in BMC what has happened. So there should not be any issues further. Okay.
Thanks, Hari. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, all right. So if you do not have any questions, then we can end the session right.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. See you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.